Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
Hello there. I had to say hello there for today's episode. It's
Yeah, for
Craig
sure.
5 standing by.
Of course, it's Ewan McGregor Day today, continuing from yesterday when he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We're going to talk all about that, a little bit about our personal stories with Ewan McGregor, which is an incredible thing to say that we actually have interacted with him a few times. So we're going to talk about all that stuff and more.
Are we going to talk about the weeping, or we had said we're not going to talk about it?
I don't remember a conversation about weeping, Craig, so you might have to
You
enlighten us.
said you were crying like a baby, and I had to hold you.
Oh,
I
Craig.
cradled you, and Carl was there. He'll attest to everything.
Carl is not attending this podcast, so
See? He can't confirm my story.
well, before we get started, we definitely want to thank all of our awesome top tier Patreon supporters. And Craig has some interesting comments always about Patreon. Darth Ace 1, Liam McCallan, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Deb McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Makatao Tala, Adam Haber, Brad Mackey, Front Row King, and Darth Beard. Thank you so much for being our top tier supporters on Patreon. And of course, you can always go out to patreon.com, look up Star Wars Stuff Podcast, Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187 specifically, and become a member and help us out.
It helps David a lot. He's always crying. He needs a lot of assistance.
Maybe
I have
you
to
should
work
stop
him through
saying
it.
that stuff, Craig, because people are going to start believing it because there's other stuff going on out there on the internets about people and
They believe everything, right?
their emotions. And maybe we should
I
stop.
just make light of it. But we do appreciate all the support. It really does make a difference to us. Like a little show like this, we're able to expand it and do other things. We have a lot of ideas. David has lots of ideas, but not lots of money. So even 50 cents will help him.
As they
Please.
look at all the $100 helmets right behind me.
We don't want to tell them what you had to do to earn those. We're not going to talk about that.
So we do want to talk about Ewan McGregor. So yesterday he got his star on the Walk of Fame, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I think a lot of people think that these stars are just kind of given to celebrities. I thought so for a very long time too, but the way the process works, as far as I know, they get the invitation. Said celebrity says yay or nay. Said celebrity has to then pay Hollywood about $25,000 to $30,000 for that particular star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So some celebrities just straight up say no, I'm not going to pay for it. And some celebrities that's just their mentality. Some celebrities just say yes, for sure, definitely, I want that as part of my legacy. It was interesting to hear Ewan McGregor's speech, and I think he's actually a celebrity that didn't pay for a star. I think Disney, along with Paramount, helped pay for it to get it in there.
I know. The man, he really could use the help financially. I mean, I haven't spent $17,000 on his autographs alone, so.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about how much I've spent, but
I probably have like at least 6 of his autographs. Honestly, I have them on all my episode 1, 2, and 3 poster. I have them on. There's a figure back there. Yeah. I got him on 16 by 20s where he's like posed against like coming down Padme's ship. So
I'm looking around my office here, and I have 3 photo ops with him, and I have 1 signature.
I didn't count the photo ops. That's another story, David.
Well, I only have 1 signature to compete with you, so yeah. So
it's not
Zach
a competition, David. Honestly, you're winning this competition. I'm losing this competition.
Oh no, Star Wars is not a competition.
Yeah, well, I'm losing because all my money just flies away.
Yeah. Zach Netzel on YouTube says, Craig, you should come to SpaceCom to meet Ewan again.
I have a restraining order, and he's asked me not to come. No, I was seriously contemplating that, and the only reason I didn't is I had already booked family vacation, a short family vacation.
Yeah.
My kids love the Fort Wilderness campgrounds at Halloween. They're incredible. Absolutely, you have to see it to believe it. And it's just the best place to bring your kids for Halloween. So I'm going to be there that weekend. Otherwise, I would have come. And David got me all excited about that con too. I'm not going to tell you how much he hyped me up.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. It's the weekend before Halloween in October. It's Space Con in my backyard in San Antonio, Texas. Colin will be there. Zach will be there. Um, Maybe some surprise people might be there too. I don't know. Um,
Is Colin staying with you
yeah, Colin's. You will probably see him next to me, like right here, and maybe
next
Zach
week
on this side.
in the November 1st podcast? It's called David's Getting Divorced. How Colin ruined my marriage.
Well, Colin's actually stayed at my house before, so
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
you
But
survived it. All right, that's good. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
luckily I have a guest room. He doesn't have to like sleep in my bed in between me and my wife or anything like that. So
It's like you, all the Star Wars helmets, your wife, a bunch of more Star Wars helmets, and Colin dressed as Chewbacca, all in the same bed. He
yeah,
probably wears it to get to bed like a set of pajamas.
I think apparently it is like very very light because it's like a mesh netting, I believe, and then he just like latch hooked the hairs individually in there,
We're gonna have to
um,
ask him.
which is wild. But yeah, getting back to Ewan McGregor here, the topic of this podcast. So yeah, I put out some pictures. That's what the star looks like before they put it in
What is going on
the
with those feet? Are those boots?
yeah the workman boots
Okay.
there. So yeah, they lay out the concrete. They put the star in there. They put the name, make sure the spelling's correct, and they gave him the film logo on his star. I mean, he's also a TV star as well. He's won Emmys, um, many awards for his work on Fargo, which I haven't seen yet. But apparently, he plays two brothers that are identical twins in that show, and it's like a masterful
Oh,
performance.
I've never seen that show.
Yeah,
I
and he
only knew it as a
also
movie. That was an old movie, right?
right, and it's a TV show on FX, so still under the Disney banner. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
apparently he did a fantastic job. Um, Also, at the ceremony, Ewan McGregor was joined by Hayden Christensen, and he
Yeah.
was actually one of the speakers. And he gave a really nice and interesting speech at the mic. I was kind of surprised with some of the stuff he said.
I'm glad they
Um,
patched things up. No longer fighting.
and they actually addressed that too.
Maybe it's
Also,
because Obi-Wan apologized. He did say I'm sorry for everything.
yeah, he actually did. So Harrison Dula herself was also there, being very affectionate with Ewan McGregor. But
I
yeah,
mean, David, are you saying you'd rather be held by Ewan McGregor or would you rather be held? Never mind. I want to know which one David would rather be held by in this picture.
I wouldn't be I wouldn't mind being held by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That would
Yeah.
be interesting, and maybe it's going to happen at SpaceCon. She will be there as well.
And then we're going to see Ewan McGregor attack you with a lightsaber. We know how that goes down, so you better be careful.
Yeah, yeah. Ewan McGregor sometimes has a very big security contingent with him. Last time I saw him, he had like three or four guys just off to the side. I looked at them; they were looking at me. But yeah, we'll talk about that story in a little bit. But yeah, Ewan McGregor, if you don't know, he's married to the actress that plays Harrison Dula in
Yeah.
Ahsoka, which is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which I discovered her in Scott Pilgrim. She was awesome in that. She was also in a Quentin Tarantino film, Death Proof, I believe. And she is also, they actually starred together in another TV show, I believe a limited series. I want to get this right, maybe like on, I guess, Paramount Plus. Either that or Peacock. I can't remember which one. But they starred together in a very popular novel
Hmm.
that the host for the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony talked about, which was one of his favorite books. And Ewan McGregor plays a Russian. Um, so yeah, they detailed all of Ewan McGregor's past roles, award-winning roles. And yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. I really think that he's one of our most underrated actors. that we
Mm.
have. I mean, you
Yeah.
think about everything outside of course, we think about the prequel trilogy, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I mean, he did the groundbreaking Train Spotting. That was like his real big kind of quasi mainstream break, and he was
Mhm.
also in Shallow Grave, which were both directed by Danny Boyle, which he became a big time director. Um, he also starred in a musical, Moulin Rouge, with Nicole Kidman. Baz Luhrmann directed that. He's also done one of my favorite films that's really not talked about a lot. It stars actually a very very young, almost unrecognizable Tom Holland called The Impossible. It was about the tsunami that took place.
Mm.
Um,
Never heard that.
yeah, yeah. Ewan McGregor play. He's not the star. It's really Naomi Watts and the kids, Tom Holland. But it shows you the power of what a tsunami can do, and it's really kind of a very rewatchable film. I've seen it several times, um, and I mean, there's just an untold amount of films. He also brought up a director he worked with. That was the other speaker aside from Hayden Christensen, and he directed him in The Beginners. And I had heard about this film, and I believe Christopher Plummer was nominated and maybe won an Oscar for this film. And I had no idea Ewan McGregor was in this film, but I believe he played his son.
Mm.
I think that's what that was. But going all the way back to when when I learned he was cast in the prequels, all the way back in I think 1997. He had just come off of a film that he did with Cameron Diaz. And of course, he had done Train Spotting before, but his star was starting to rise. And once they made that announcement, I looked at his face because, I mean, we all had grown up knowing Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, the
Sure.
definitive and only version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
Yeah.
I looked at his face and I was like, he kind of does look a little bit like maybe younger Alec Guinness. But we'll see what he does in episode one. And in episode one, he totally nailed it, and he
Yeah.
was totally believable as a young Alec Guinness. And at that point in time, the prequels were not as beloved as they are now, to say that delicately. But
Well, I think Revenge
I
of the Sith really helped with that.
right, but staying on episode one, after the the criticism and the stories were ran about it, no one that I had read about, no articles I read, nothing on TV. There was zero criticism of Ewan
No.
McGregor's performance.
Nobody's ever.
Zero.
I've never heard anything bad about
No,
other.
yeah,
No.
no
No.
one said anything critiquing Ewan McGregor. It was
No.
everything else,
I
and
agree.
maybe not even Liam Neeson. I don't think Liam Neeson got
No,
any
it's more
criticism
about
or
like the
fizzle.
story being
Right.
messy and all over the place and stuff like that.
But I mean, he was the perfect cast. It was almost like he was born to play a young Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And
Mhm.
now everyone I think watching, when they hear Obi-Wan Kenobi, they think Ewan McGregor. I think that's the first image. And I think as time has gone on, I think Ewan McGregor as well, because Ewan McGregor, there was a certain point where there was all these conventions happening. He wouldn't attend them, and then up until I believe the 2022 Star Wars Celebration
Celebrations.
in Anaheim,
Yeah.
he was welcomed so warmly, got great receptions every time he walked out onto the stage, and I think it really blew him away. All the
I
love
think
that we
so.
gave him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna keep on doing this." And right after Celebration, he came to where I live in San Antonio, and he did Superhero Comic Con
That's
car
right.
show.
It was like a week later, wasn't it? It was
Um,
right. I felt like it was right
it was
after.
pretty much right after. He was
Yeah.
only doing a convention here in San Antonio, Texas, and in Edinburgh, where I believe he's from.
Mm.
Um, and I was just like, oh my gosh! I mean, I have to attend his panel. I have to, of course. I mean, goes without saying, but I mean, just coming to my area where I grew up and where I live, having him was just so like mind blowing. He did a big panel in the arena we had. It was fantastic. But when I met him in 2022, um, 2022 was so special because when I had my appointments to photo op and autograph with him, they fell right in line with the panels that I did not win the lottery for. So it just worked perfectly. So
Mhm.
I got his photo op first, and I was wearing my Star Wars Stuff podcast T-shirt. I'm not wearing one right now, but um, he read my shirt. So he said that Ewan McGregor has said the name of our podcast, the Star Wars Stuff
And he's also
podcast.
said, security, security, Star Wars Stuff podcast guy right here.
And the thing that really took me aback was the fact that he put his hand out first to shake my hand. We shook hands, and then he pulled me in. He threw his arm around me, and he said, "Let's take a photo." And we took the photo, and I was just like in shock. I mean, he was so like personable,
Yeah,
so
he's really nice.
nice. And then, of course, I wanted to be courteous too and kind of like get out of there quickly because there's so many people in line.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that was the first really fantastic impression of Ewan McGregor. And it
Plus,
wasn't,
they didn't realize you hadn't paid, so you had to get out of there fast.
so it wasn't over yet. So I was gonna get the autograph. So I actually bought like a DSLR case, a hard shell case, to put my 6-inch Obi-Wan Kenobi like retro figure that I got that
Yeah.
I didn't get from Chicago, but I bought it later on. But they were offered at Chicago, that and a Darth Maul. So I took it to Anaheim in a hard shell case, and I cracked it open. And when you do the autographs with Ewan, he's essentially taking an item, signing, passing it. It's like an assembly line process.
Yeah.
You're passing it to one person. They say, okay, well, what do you want signed? They put a post-it note with the details. Ewan reads the details and just signs it. But at that celebration, we actually had swag that we were giving out. We had a coin, we had a pin, and the pin was in the font of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So we were allowed to present him with gifts. They just had to be able to fit in his pocket. Those are the rules. So, of course, I give him the coin, I give him the pin. So he gets to my action figure, and he stops the line. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? He has his, like, reading glasses on, and he takes his glasses off, and he picks up the coin, and he goes, and he reads it. He says, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. And he goes, I know them. And my like jaw just dropped. And then he looks up at me and he goes, I know you. And then he just starts laughing. And I'm like, am I
You
alive
should have
still?
said hello there. You should have said hello there, David.
It was so shocking. He spent like an excessive amount of time like with me, talking to me, signing my action figure there. And I was just like blown away. And I had like an usher like gently touch my shoulder. And he's like, move along.
You're like, I can't move. My feet
Yeah.
aren't working.
Yeah. But of course, I mean, yeah, I want to be polite and just keep on moving. But I mean, he was talking to me. So, I mean, I didn't want to be rude and just walk away. But yeah, Ewan's a fantastic guy with the fans.
He really is.
It.
And it's got to be exhausting to do that.
Oh yeah. But he's physically fit, man. He's in great shape. But you hear his scream at the end of our intro on every audio podcast we release. And that's kind of why I put it out there, because I mean, he's just
I thought that was our listeners after the show. Ah!
So, yeah, that scream, he did it at that 2022 celebration. And if you watch the Walk of Fame ceremony, he screamed like several times there. Like, that's like his thing. And, I mean, he's just very genuine, very welcoming to the fans. He appreciates everyone. I mean, I think it's common sense to think this, but when you were cast back in the 90s to essentially restart up Star Wars, I think every actor had the thought, oh my God, I might be like the next Harrison Ford. I might be the next Mark Hamill in this fandom. And I don't think he kind of saw that initially. And not until now, not until the kids then grew up and now have adult money and attend these things, are showing him the love. And he's like, okay, well, this is why I did it. I wanted to be here. And now he comes to San Antonio all the time now. I mean, this is going to be his second or third trip to a big convention here. And he's bringing his family. He's bringing his wife. And she's going to do photo ops and sign too. So it's a family affair now. And, I mean, I just love the guy. He's the perfect Obi-Wan. So, yeah, really those are my stories. Craig, you said you have a real funny story.
Well, yeah, he was at MegaCon, and the way they do it is that at MegaCon they have all the main signers on one end of the floor,
Mhm.
but on the exact other side of the floor was Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Tom Hiddleston. I think it was just those three on the other side. But they're in this one section just by themselves because the lines are so long, and to keep them. So, if you get multiple autographs, they assign you these random times, and you have to go, try and get them in those times. And so I was in line for Ming, and her line was awful. It was not moving. It
Mhm.
was just so unbelievably slow. And it was the last time for whatever that weekend that I could get it. So I had to get it. And so I'm waiting in the line, and I finally get there, and I literally have to run to the end of the other end of the convention center, literally through all the people, crowded it is. It's wild. So I'm going as fast as I can. I'm literally out of breath when I finally get there because they had closed up Ewan's line. He was lit. It was done. Like, I got to there and there was no one there. I was the last person, and Ben from Official Picks was there, and sitting next to him, and my brother was there, and I was so out of breath. I told my brother, I was like, "Oh, I had the 2-pack. I'm not sure if it's up there behind me somewhere. There's a 2-pack with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, and it's two vintage figures carded. So I don't know where it is. Other I'd show you. Um, I handed it to my brother Jonathan, but he couldn't get it open. He's like, I can't open it. So I'm like, I'm going, and they're like, well, you're a little bit late or whatever. I was like so out of breath. I'm like, yeah, I was waiting for Ming, and Ewan just starts laughing. He goes, oh, you were waiting for Ming. That's a good story. And I was like, no, I was literally waiting for Ming to get there. But he was laughing about it, and they couldn't get the box of the 2-packs open, so they wound up signing on the outside of the package instead of the figure on the inside, which is what I
Mm.
really wanted.
Mm.
But he was getting like rushed out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was so friendly about it, and just pleasant and laughing, and you know it just, you could tell he wants to be there. He genuinely wants to be there,
Yeah.
and it makes such a huge difference. Like that. Like, I got a picture with Hayden and Ewing together too, and they're just, you could see they were happy to be there together.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That
mean,
was the first
Hayden
time I'd seen
spoke
them
at the
together.
ceremony, so he's an important figure in his life.
Yeah, so that was the first time I actually got to take a picture with them
And they don't
together.
have any future products coming out together. There's no Star Wars planned yet that we know about.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But
Hayden brought
you
up.
can tell they're genuine, and it makes such a difference as opposed to some celebrities that aren't very friendly.
Right.
Captain Phasma, um, maybe not as warm. I won't cough out any other names.
So,
But
okay, so to speak to that, at the ceremony, once it was done, Ewan McGregor showed his plaque to the audience. Everyone cheered. He actually walked around to the fans and started just signing everything.
that's
There's a
amazing.
there's a
That's so
TikTok
nice.
video. I mean, he's got a very, very small, like, truncated signature, so he's able to do a bunch. And he was signing lightsabers, he was signing posters, he was signing action figures, he was signing Funko Pops, and then I think there was some, like, professional autograph hunters. They ran after Hayden Christensen in his car driving, and they drove, like, around traffic, jumped out of their cars,
Mm.
went to Hayden's driver's side. He rolled down the window and he started signing everything. And there's a video
Wow,
of that too at the red light.
that's really nice.
He signed like 20 things, and you could hear the guy saying, "Hayden, you're my favorite. You're the best. You're the best, Darth Vader." And he's just like signing everything. I mean, he didn't stop. I mean, he did the thing. I mean, those autographs are super expensive.
Yeah, it's really
And
nice. I mean, I hate to see it go into like people that are going to resell them, but if you're signing
yeah.
it for somebody that's a genuine fan, Like, that's really nice. And one thing that they could do is just say, "What's your name?" to Mike.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't resell it, or it's
Right.
harder. Then you have to take it off, or the personalization. But because I know Frank Oz really hates that, but just personalize it. Takes 2 other seconds. What's your name? To
Right.
David. Pull up your pants. Love you and McGregor.
Yeah, I got a few that are personalized, but not a lot. But I
I
was
have
make.
one from Carrie that says "With love to Craig" or something like that.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
speaking of Carrie, Ewan McGregor's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is very, very close to Carrie Fisher's,
Mm,
and Ewan McGregor addressed that in his speech. He said, "I'm so glad that I'm now going to be here forever next to my friend Carrie Fisher. I'd
that's
love
awesome.
to hear his Carrie Fisher stories. Hopefully, when he does the panel at Celebration, the moderator can bring it up. The what kind of Carrie Fisher stories can you tell? That'd be fantastic." But yes, Hayden came up and he talked about he I kind of reiterated kind of what he said, that Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I hope that we get to see him in the future as Obi-Wan Kenobi and more stuff. And I was kind of surprised that he said something like that during his ceremony, which I don't know. Do you think that's almost like a kind of almost like a negotiating through the media type thing, or what do you
Well,
think? Because Ewan McGregor has
he's
said,
making it pretty clear he wants to do more Star Wars,
right, right,
and I can see the apprehension on Lucas's film's part as to, like, because you don't want to get too close to A New Hope. You know what I mean? Because then it just doesn't feel like it's transitioning to Alec Guinness. But I would love to see something during the Clone Wars.
well, my idea was if you do an Obi-Wan season 2, he's training with Qui-Gon's Force Ghost. When he goes to sleep, he has dreams slash nightmares of the past,
Yeah, I
of the
like that.
future, maybe like almost kind of like, I don't know, like a almost like a what if sort of, where like misremembers certain things, and then you can kind of have like a psychological study on like why did that happen. We clearly know this didn't happen, but he
Mhm.
dreamt it though. We know these are dreams, and we clearly show that. And I think you can also have a parallel storyline with Hayden in the suit and him have thoughts, and you could bring back Natalie Portman and they can do brand new scenes of what his dreams and thoughts would have been. And you could have Obi-Wan show up as well. And it's almost like you're doing a what if in a way, and you show maybe Anakin's life if he never turned, if none of the bad stuff happened.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a terrific way to go. But it feels like we are going to get something. It's just, what are they talking about? What's the idea? Who's going to be involved? Um, I think we might get an announcement in Japan for something possible. He might pull a
I hope
Daisy Ridley
so.
and walk up on stage unknowingly and say, "We're back, guys. We're coming back." And maybe they say, "We don't have any details yet for you, but you know who we are, and we're going to be back." And just maybe leave it at that. And we always talk about like the hype machine. Star Wars has so much ammunition to hype us up and to get us talking and speculating and dreaming about stuff.
Can I just pause you right there? And I think that's a big mistake that they've been doing with these shows, is not giving on a trailer, like, for people to speculate on. Like, they dragging out before they give us anything now. It's like, show us something so we hype it up ourselves.
Mm.
We'll do all the hype. Just give us a 2-minute trailer. We'll be talking about it for 6 months. But they wait until 2 months out, and it's like,
Well, we got a trailer for Mandalorian Grogu well away from the 2026 release date, so
yeah. I mean, and that
they
was
gave us
like,
something.
wasn't it only been under filming for like 2 weeks at the time or something like
Something
that?
like that. It was very heavy CG, so yeah, they don't really require too many actors to be in it. But yeah, they shot a lot of action sequences. You got the mouse droid perspective, which was really cool, and then you got the chicken walker going up against the AT-ATs in the
Hmm.
snow. So yeah, um, Ewan McGregor, he has been immortalized. Hopefully, maybe we get Hayden Christensen at some point. But Ewan McGregor is just one of the greatest Star Wars actors. He's already cemented, pun intended, his place in Star Wars history as one of the greats, alongside Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and he's still very young, guys. He can still be Obi-Wan and other things, and he wants to be back. Hayden said he wants to be back. He needs to be back, and I think Star Wars, Prime Star Wars, now in 2024 and going forward, is in a great place when Ewan McGregor is involved.
Yeah, I mean, do you go past or do you go future with this character?
You
You know,
do it all, Craig. Like I said,
after
have dream
I mean, you
sequences.
can't, but you cannot have Obi-Wan and Vader fight again. You can't.
Yeah, they're not
You
going to meet
can't.
again, but you can still have them in the same show. They just don't meet again.
Yeah, they can't meet again.
Yeah,
That would be to me like, all right, now we can't do it. Like
yeah,
they
that's
fought 2 times in the show. The last time it was like you can't you're not going to get any better than that,
right.
you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did moment. I mean, that was just
Right,
incredible.
right.
So I think, personally, I'd like to see him de-age and do something in the Clone Wars.
Yes, that would be fun. That I
You
think a
know,
lot of adults, a lot of young adults would
why
love
not
that.
something that involves Darth Maul, Savage Press, Ventress, Dooku? All of them were around at the same time.
Yep, there's a lot of Quinlan Voss stuff that you can touch on,
I
helping
mean,
out other Jedi that we don't know about. You can introduce new characters. You can see what his life was like on Tatooine.
you have Ahsoka around. You have all the Jedi. You have Sidious. You have all the players of that generation at the same time. Think about that: Savage Press, Maul, Dooku, Ventress, Palpatine. You have like all the villains.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of great lore that you can mine. Even if they don't do like an Obi-Wan titled centric show, you could
Yeah,
do a show about someone else, but have Ewan McGregor in there. Surprise us all, you know? I mean, it could be a great surprise. I really kind of wish Star Wars would do that more often, surprise us. And I know in this day and age of spoilers and long like bazooka lenses on cameras where people can't like even like remotely approach shooting locations, but somehow still pictures get out and information gets out. Um, the surprises would be great, and
yeah,
they can do it, and hopefully we will get more. And Vader series, Vader film, that would be gold too at the box office. So
yeah, yeah. But what is it about? Like just hunting and killing Jedi? Like what? You know what I mean?
the psychological struggle with him being could be, because we all know there's good in him. Luke points that out in Return of the Jedi, and we do find out that there's good in him.
But
There's still conflict in him, even though he tells Luke there is no more conflict.
But when does the conflict arise? Because I feel like maybe the conflict doesn't come back until he finds out about Luke. You know what I
Well,
mean?
maybe he has to go on a mission to Naboo, and that triggers a lot for him. He visits Padme's mausoleum, and then bam, you trigger a flashback, and we get Natalie Portman in the show or the
Mm.
film. I mean, it kind of writes itself, it feels like. I don't think it's too difficult to hit like big plot points here and there and what fans want to see. Everyone wants Natalie Portman back, and she's said as much in the media that she wouldn't mind coming back if the story was right.
Yep.
I mean, we got to get it done sooner than later. I mean, these actors aren't going to be young forever. I mean,
Come on, let's get it done, George.
we learned our
Get
lesson
George in there.
with the original big three. So,
We want George. Let George take
oh my
George.
god, can you imagine?
What if they got George and Filoni working together in like a Clone Wars type thing? Like that'd be awesome.
It would be ultra hyped. It would be a circus. It would
But
be awesome.
everybody
Would love
complains.
it.
They'll complain. People
No, I'm not
complain.
complaining. I'm just saying the hoopla around it.
I
And
know.
the
But I'm already
pundits.
thinking people would complain. People complained about Kenobi. People complained. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's all the time we have for today. We just
Yeah.
wanted to talk a little about Ewan McGregor, our experiences, and I think give our seal of approval for him earning his star on the Walk of Fame probably years ago, really. But to see the two in real life brothers, Hayden and Ewan, talk and hug and kiss each other, and then they're both going to be in San Antonio in October next month, and I'm going to see them.
And they're going to be hugging and kissing you.
I'm going to be the meat and the Ewan and Hayden sandwich there. So, yeah. Thank you everyone for listening, watching us. We've got a lot of watches and views on YouTube, so thank you very much for that. I just got a report from them, and yeah, we're growing. And thank you everyone. Like the video on YouTube, of course, if you're watching us there. Like it on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it these days. And for Craig 5, my name's David, and may the force be with you
Always.